Alright, so we're back talking some more Monarch Legacy of Monsters on the channel. Episode 3 just dropping. Now, those first 2 episodes that dropped last week, I thought they were pretty fantastic, and the adventures only continue to get more exciting in episode 3, now that we're finally getting the ball rolling for some of these flashbacks, along with being on the move with the 2015 storyline. Kate, Kentaro, May planning their escape from the Monarch facility with Lee Shaw in the hopes of finding their missing father. But before I deep dive into my thoughts about episode 3, make sure you share your thoughts down below, how you felt about the episode, and be sure to leave a like and also subscribe if you haven't already, because we're going to be talking a whole lot of Godzilla on the channel in the upcoming weeks between this show and Godzilla -1. Now that we finally are starting to establish Kurt Russell portraying Lee Shaw in the 2015 storyline, the little escape sequence they had here I thought was pretty damn fun and well crafted, while also getting a better glimpse of Lee in this storyline. Very much a man of the past, bewildered by newer technology. I mean, he doesn't even know what a push-to-start car is. Slowly, as we piece together more of their past, it's becoming quite fascinating how intertwined Kate and Kentaro's family appear to be within Monarch. Learning that for better or for worse, being a member of Monarch is kind of like a family business. A family business that neither of them were introduced into, but still a family business nonetheless. At least on the bright side, Lee knew all of Kentaro and Kate's family members that worked in Monarch, so he can give some level of context to them. Being on the run from an organization like Monarch, I had to assume that the plan they were going to orchestrate was going to be pretty wild, but this plan is another level of wild that I was not expecting, considering we're going with a ship across the country, needing assistance from one of Lee's friends in South Korea disguised as a security guard, and inevitably moving to using a vintage plane to fly to Alaska. Quite a multifaceted plan. It was pretty cool, but just not what I was expecting. This was something I mentioned a little bit when I discussed episode 2, but these 2 Monarch agents that are kind of searching for Lee Shaw in this group, they just don't come across as competent. I would argue they're also kind of just goofy. But the woman that flies in on the private Monarch jet, now that woman was intimidating. Shifting back into the flashbacks for episode 3, this is one of the elements that I just think is so cool, being a longtime MonsterVerse fan, is getting more info about events that we only saw tidbits of previously in the MonsterVerse. Like last week we saw what happened with the Ion Dragon taking out the ship. Even if this flashback isn't a one-to-one perfect recreation of the opening sequence from 2014's Godzilla, this basically is what we saw in the opening of the 2014 film, where the army attempts to blow up Godzilla, and obviously, as we know, fail. Getting the sequence more fleshed out, it was interesting to find out that it sounds like the army only would allow this uranium usage for Monarch if it was in bomb form. They're just gonna bomb the shit out of Godzilla. The whole goal is to lure a Titan to the shore and just blow it to smithereens, which probably is pretty accurate to what they would do in real life if they were put in this situation. Still, nevertheless, it was disappointing, and I understood why Keiko was horrified at the idea that they would try this on something like Godzilla, even if she doesn't know that it's not gonna work. This does inevitably lead into my favorite part of the entire episode. I mean, it has to be my favorite part. It involves Godzilla. Anytime Godzilla's on screen, I'm gonna be hype. It's awesome. So it was fantastic watching him swim towards the shore, come out of the water, and what an entrance. VFX-wise, he looks amazing. Even if he's just walking towards the bombs in an attempt to be blown up, it's amazing just how great the VFX are in this show. I still have no idea what the VFX budget is for this show, but based on what I've seen of this show so far, it has to be pretty damn high. This was a pretty cool moment, though, for fans of the MonsterVerse, just because we finally get to see the full grand picture of what exactly went down, all of the horror of the reactions of the people watching from the beach. Even if we knew going into this show that Godzilla survives because he's just built different, I still felt pretty bad for Keiko in this situation. You know, traumatized by the events she just watched unfold, but if there's any consolation, it does lead to them basically having endless government funding to find out if there are more Titans. Little does she know that probably will inevitably lead to her downfall, but at least she died doing what she loved. Now, when we shift back into the 2015 storyline, fortunately for Kate and everyone, May is able to find out on the plane the coordinates and new leads on where exactly Hiroshi is, and possibly where he's even going. There's so much going on at this point. I love the little speech that Kate had between her and Lee's friend who's piloting the plane. Gives her this kind of nice pep talk, which does unfortunately inevitably seal his fate later on, considering he is the only non-main character on this plane. Thankfully, they at least do do land in the mountains, even if it is this crazy emergency landing where they find some plane wreckage in a tent nearby and a body, which is not their father. That would be a pretty awkward conclusion to this mystery if he was just dead on this mountain. If only they had just checked the other side of that plane. That was one of the details I thought was so frustrating. They examined everything inside the tent, all of this gear. The wreckage didn't come from crashing. The other part of the wreckage had slash marks on it. Out of nowhere, this crazy looking new monster appears out of the snow with a really awesome design. I love the overall design and aesthetic of this creature. It's really creative. And the ice powers, no pun intended, are pretty damn cool. Even if unfortunately he puts them to use by killing the pilot to close out the episode. Like I said, the only non-main character on this plane, he probably was going to be the one that died. So RIP to this man.
You're as cold as ice.
Quite the wild way to cap off episode 3, but I overall had a blast with episode 3, even besides the just epic Godzilla stuff. It was a pretty intriguing episode all around, as we dig a little bit deeper into the mysteries and find out more stuff about the past that we've seen in other MonsterVerse films. But I've heard my thoughts on the episode. Make sure you share your thoughts down below. How'd you feel about episode 3 of Monarch Legacy of Monsters? Did you like the episode? Did you not like the episode? How'd you feel about the flashbacks with Godzilla? Getting that further context of events we saw at the beginning of 2014 Godzilla, and all the other stuff, like involving this new creature that we're going to see more of in episode 4. Either way, make sure you share your thoughts down below, because part of the fun is to have that conversation with you guys in the comment section down below. And thank you guys, as always, for that videos. I always do appreciate it. Be sure to like on the video and also subscribe to the channel to update reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. Next time, see you guys later.